After surveying over 100 men, these are the 4 things that men look for that confirm to him that his woman is the only one for him. Now, the first sign is a depth of connection at the level that he's comfortable with. You see, a lot of men want to have a connection with their partner or their wife. That goes without saying. But often what happens is their partner is at a different level from a connection perspective to the level that they want to be. They're going too deep, or they're too shallow. They're not quite at the level that he genuinely wants. And it's really important to develop a connection at that particular level. And so that might mean that he likes to go deep into emotions and talking about his dreams and goals and his fears and so on. For another man, it might just be, what's your purpose? What's your mission? Or it might be for another guy, listen, I just like to just talk about topics around politics or other areas of life that are important to him. You have to kind of get a feel for where he's at by actually practicing and developing conversations around various topics and seeing to what level he actually responds in those situations. Because connection is so important. Now, obviously, the deeper the better, in my opinion. When you develop a depth of connection, then what happens is you have this situation where no one can even compete. So for those of you who are worried about your husband or partner cheating on you, when you develop such a deep connection with someone and you're with an individual who has integrity, he's not going to want to look elsewhere because no one can compete with the level of connection that he's got with you. So depth of connection is very important, but you have to test the waters to see to what level. If he's not going into the depths that you want to go in, that doesn't mean that he's not capable of it in the future. It just means at this stage of his life, he's not ready for it. So, you can start having maybe a little bit more surface level conversations and then start progressing more into maybe a level below where you're talking about things like, as I said, politics or just everyday things, or maybe discussing friends and family and their psychology with certain things, or how they've acted and reacted in different circumstances, or aspects of your career and so on. There's lots of things that we can talk about, and so it's got to be relevant to your life. I'm not just saying talk about these things because that might be something that other people might do. You want to make sure it's relevant to your environment. And then once you build on that, then you can slowly just go deeper and deeper. But if it's just coming in full throttle and going really deep early on, that can frighten a man. It can make him feel uncomfortable, because for a guy, he's meant to be strong and confident and not show any weakness and so on. That's kind of the way in which a lot of guys want to operate. But having that vulnerability is also key for men. So you've got to go at the level that he's at and slowly work towards even more depth so you can have something that's truly exclusive. The second thing they're looking for is mutual expression during the tough times. See, we all go through tough times in relationships and marriages. That just comes with the territory, and it's a good thing because it helps us to grow and develop. And if you're in a situation where you may have just had your first child, or maybe it's your second or third child or so on, or it might be you're starting up a business, or you're doing it all together, whatever it may be, it's really important that you actually talk and express what's going through your mind and your emotions and so on during those difficult times. See, my wife and I, we've got 2 businesses. We've just had our second child a couple of months ago. We've got, a couple of dogs. There's a lot of stuff going on in our lives. And if we didn't communicate, it could easily boil over. It could easily get to a place where there's a lot of tension, a lot of pain, a lot of frustration and so on. But one of the things that we've learned to do over time is actually express what we're feeling, what we're experiencing in the moment, mentally, emotionally and so on. What are the challenges that we're facing, why it's so difficult at the moment, all of these sorts of things. It helps us to understand each other's point of view. Whereas a lot of couples don't do that. They get frustrated and they express that frustration if the other person's not quite reading their mind or not quite acting in the way that they had hoped. People often step into this hope that their partner is going to completely anticipate everything that they want. And because they haven't had maybe the depth of connection, they don't understand each other at the deeper level, so they don't have the ability to anticipate needs and so on. And so before the anticipation of needs, you have to be able to communicate where you're at and what's actually going on in your mind. And once again, going back to the survey that I did, I remember one comment that I recall seeing a lot was that they felt like their wife or their partner was just going off at them for no reason. They had no idea why. Now, obviously, the wife or the partner had a reason to get annoyed and get frustrated, but it didn't make a lot of sense to them. And so they get frustrated, they shut down, they back off, they stonewall, and so on. So what's good is if you can actually start to express what's actually going on. So let's say you're frustrated because he hasn't been helping out with, the baby or whatever it may be. This might be an opportunity to actually, when you're maybe lying in bed, you get a little bit of time together, or you just have an opportunity to connect. Say, look, honey, I'm sorry I got a little bit grumpy at you before. I just wanted to kind of express to you a little bit about why that happened, and I know it's not something you're doing intentionally, and I'm sorry I had a go at you. But what I'm finding is that because we're not getting a lot of quality time and we're not able to sort of connect at the level that we are, it's becoming quite challenging, and I'm missing you and I love you and I connect with you so well when it's just the two of us. So wondering if maybe we can have a nice night out at some point, that we can get mum or dad or get a babysitter in or whatever, just to look after the child for an hour or hour and a half or something, just so we can connect. Is that something that you'd be open to, etc.? And you can start to just share in a very calm and steady way, rather than getting a lot of emotion involved, right? Because if you do that, then he's going to get triggered and he's going to get defensive, and then you're going to get frustrated because you're not listening and understanding where you're coming from, and all of that stuff starts to play out. Now, the third thing is really a deep understanding of each other and an ability to anticipate needs. Now, what's really great is when you develop a really strong bond, if you understand your husband or partner at the deepest level and vice versa, you both can start to anticipate what each other needs. You understand your patterns. You understand the nuances of the situation. You understand what you need to say, when and how, and when they need some space, and when you need to give them a cuddle, or when you need to, check in and make sure everything's okay, or whatever it is. You know what you need to do, and he will also know what needs to be done as well. But that only comes when you develop a real depth of connection. And so you have to take the time to really get to know each other. You have to get to know them at a deeper level over time. Now, I know I've talked about working with someone at that level that they're at, but when you're at a certain level, you can then utilize that level to grow to the next level. And that requires a proper effort. It's not something you just do once and, hopefully it's all good, because I get it. Like, life gets in the way, we get busy with other things, and we almost apply the law of familiarity, which states that when we get something and we spend enough time with it, or we purchase a product or whatever, over time, we become familiar with it and it loses its sort of appeal. And this is often what happens in relationships, is that early on in the piece, it's all wonderful, you're connecting, it's great times, there's passion, there's connection and all that lovely stuff. But then over time, things happen, life gets in the way. You have kids, you have your career and all that stuff. And then before you know it, we take it for granted. You don't ever want to let that happen. You have to truly commit to creating something extraordinary and really focusing on taking it to the next level. Just like you don't let businesses just go stale. We need to focus and put the same level of energy into relationships. Commit to date nights. Commit to time where you actually connect. Commit to developing beautiful rituals between the two of you, so if something is difficult, you have some funny words or actions or anything just to break a habitual pattern, and then be able to communicate in a nice way or in a humorous way and so on. These are really wonderful strategies to be able to take relationships to a whole different level. And a lot of that comes down to actually getting to know someone at a deep level. And when you do that, the anticipation piece actually becomes quite effortless. And the other thing is, when you develop a deeper connection, you open the heart. And when you start to open the heart energy, and I'm talking more in spiritual terms here, when you really open that heart energy, you will really just know at a deeper level, okay, this is what she needs right now, or this is what he needs right now. And you'll be able to do it. And you can act on your intuition rather than just going, oh geez, what happens if I do that and then he doesn't like it, and we fear rejection, we fear being criticized, or whatever it may be. Step into the heart, and I promise you, your actions will always be aligned for the highest good of both of you. And the fourth is a desire to pleasure and please. Now I want to be clear here, I'm not talking about just being a people pleaser and just, being very subservient and just always trying to meet his needs and only focusing on him and that's all that matters. Not at all. What I'm saying here is that all of us as human beings love to have the attention on us from time to time. We enjoy it. We love being the center of attention. You do, I do. It's all part of just being a human being. We enjoy that. And there's nothing better. That's why we love birthdays and so forth, because it's our day. It's our day where we can do the things that we want to do and have all that love and friendship and so forth towards us. It's a beautiful feeling. And in relationships, what I honestly feel is that so many individuals and so many couples are focused on, if I give you something, I want to get something back. And when we create that dynamic, that tit for tat approach, then the other person is not really feeling like you're doing it sincerely for them, and we don't feel very special. You want to make someone feel really special. And that comes from actually filling your own bucket up, learning how to really elevate yourself so you know you're worthy of love. You know that you're a lovely person. You know that you're caring, and you overflow so that that love goes towards that other person. It's a wonderful thing, and they're going to enjoy it. And so whether that be from a sexual perspective, or whether that's your husband really has some extracurricular activities that he loves engaging in, and that you want him to go out and enjoy it, and maybe you want to go along and watch because you just love seeing him do really well, and really putting your attention and focusing on them. I really believe that when we start to take that energy and say, look, life is about actually giving. It's about serving. And once again, not from a place of emptiness, because this is where people get frustrated. It's like, oh, I give and give and give, but he doesn't give anything back. But that's because it's coming from a very empty place. When you truly give from the heart, it's a magical thing, because it is your true nature to actually give to that person. That is who you are. And you're not looking for anything back. There's a magic that comes with it, and you are also aligning with a contract that you have within yourself. I always say, like, when it comes to homeless people, some people have real gripes about going and giving money to a homeless person, because they're like, well, we're just enabling their behaviors, or they will probably use that money for booze or drugs or whatever it may be. But the truth is that what they do with that money is actually none of your business. It's really about saying, I'm here to serve you because you are my brother or my sister, and I mean this as just collectively as people. You're a fellow human being, and my contract is with myself, which is to live by my values and live by my true beliefs, which is, this person is in need, I want to serve them. And when we take that approach, we're genuinely coming from a place of service, great things happen, beautiful things are bestowed upon you. And so that's why it's very important when you're in a relationship to also take a similar approach. Derive joy and pleasure by actually doing something for your husband. And I promise you, if you do that and you're with someone who, is not narcissistic or sociopath or any of those really negative traits, if you consistently do this over time, and you commit to that and say, this is not just a game that I'm playing, but I'm genuinely doing this because I love seeing him happy, then it's only going to return back to you in some form. There's no doubt about that. And I truly believe that in my heart. The thing you have to always ask yourself is, what is my intention? Am I doing this because I want to get something in return? Or am I doing this because I genuinely want to do it from my heart and it gives me joy doing that? And when you do that, it's coming from the right place, I promise you that life will support you along the way. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever. So, really important to take advantage of this particular approach. Now, I'll reinforce this point by saying that you only do this if you're truly feeling full inside. If you're feeling empty and you're feeling like you've got no energy, nothing to give and so on, then sometimes giving can actually be even more detrimental, because you're not getting what you want back on any level, and you keep check and keep score, and it becomes quite challenging. But if you are filling yourself up, know that that is your true essential nature. Life will support you. So I hope this all makes sense. And look, I get it. I understand that these, approaching these strategies can be a little bit challenging at times, especially if you're going through a really tough time in your marriage right now or your relationship. So if you are needing some support, if you're, feeling very isolated and alone and not sure what to do, then, I'd encourage you just to, in the description section below, you'll see a link where it says book a call with me. Just click on that link so you can learn a little bit more about how my program, the Authentic Relationship System, can really go about changing your life, can really go about creating massive shifts in the quality of your life and the kind of person that you are, in terms of really helping you to connect with your own joy, your own peace, your own love. And then I find that when we live from that place, then our life tends to be a reflection of that. And obviously working on your specific marriage as well and helping you to really take it to a new level, especially if you've been on the receiving end of infidelity or you're facing separation. I know how tough that is. So I'd love to be of service to you. And once again, only do it if it feels right. If it feels right, just click on that link, choose a time that works for you, and then I'll contact you at that scheduled time. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video. If you've liked it, make sure you hit that like button below. If you want to get more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. And do let me know if you've got any questions or takeaways or comments or anything. Just write them below. I always love reading them. So make sure you put them below and I'll respond to every single one of you. And if you want to learn the 3 things that cause 99% of men to leave their marriage or relationship, click this video above. Thank you so much. God bless, and I'll talk to you in the next video.